Teachers of Reddit, who was the worst parent you've ever had to deal with? As a music teacher, I had a mother of a student who would crash choir rehearsal for our Christmas concert and try to demonstrate how she had learned to sing O Holy Night when she had been a student. Not only was her pitch 3 cents short of $1, but it took the principal and custodian to escort her out of the rehearsal room. For their part, the students thought it was a planned comedy. It, however, was not. I had a parent of a kindergartner tell me, in all seriousness, that she was told by their church prophet that my student was sent to lead the world into salvation. Her little girl was the second coming of Christ. Gee, no pressure. Here, teach the Christ child to read. Plus, she was one of the meanest children I ever taught. One of my brightest students came to talk to me during recess. He said he was having problems at home with his parents. These monsters would not let him play Raid Shadow Legends, the mobile game sensation that has taken the gaming world by storm. Raid Shadow Legends is one of the most ambitious mobile games of all time, and now you can even play it on your computer too. There are tons of champions to pick from, like this badass orc. But that's just the starter. Take a look at these amazing legendaries you can unlock later on, and with the combinations of unique skills and equipment the possibilities are literally endless. And within the last couple of weeks, these mad lads have added more updates than you can handle. Let me give you the TLDR. They've just added champion fragments, which is a totally sick game mechanic that lets you collect pieces of champions that you can use to summon specific champions. There is even a special event running as we speak for you gamer boys to get the incredible Kreela Witch Arm. It's ending on the 28th of August, so stop browsing Reddit and install the game. There's also a new bazaar where you can load up on high value items with the gold bars you win in Tag Arena. On top of that, they just extended the daily login rewards up to 270 days. You can get free champions just by logging in. With all these changes to the game, there has never been a better time to jump in. Go to the video description, click on the special links, and if you are a new player you will get 100,000 silver, as well as one free champion, Acolyte, a rare and powerful Knight Revenant support. These fabulous rewards will await you here in your inbox. They will only be available for the next 30 days and only for new players. Don't waste time and see you there. I was teaching a sweet 13-year-old girl, who obviously couldn't see the board very well and needed glasses as she was falling behind in class. I called her mother. This is in South London, so imagine a Jade Goody voice. Her mum told me to frick off and that I didn't need fricking glasses. My mother didn't need fricking glasses, so she doesn't need any fricking glasses, and hung up. In that situation you just feel for the girl. But sight tests are free for under 16s under NHS opticians. Surely she could at least have gotten it checked. My wife is the principal of an expensive Chinese daycare. Like, really expensive. Every parent drives a BMW or better. A 3-year-old once ran away from the group during a field trip. The teacher, an incredibly mild woman, caught a kid and asked him if he thought what he did was good or bad. She didn't hit him, she didn't even criticize him or make him go in timeout. She just asked him if he thought it was a good thing to do. The mother freaked out, not because her child nearly went missing. She was furious that any type of discipline whatsoever was administered. My wife was on the phone with her until 2 AM while this woman screamed, "She has no right to tell my child what to do. Who does she think she is?" Fortunately, the woman became angry enough that she pulled her kid out a few days later. But that teacher is now so terrified to discipline her students that her class is out of control. My first teaching job, I had a 5th grader who was the worst Jean-Ralphio voice. He would literally just stand up in the middle of class, laugh like a madman, and run out of my classroom. He also did a few things in the bathroom that no sane child would ever do, mostly involving fesses. I was new, so I asked around to see if this kid had a history of bad behavior. All of his previous teachers said he was actually one of the better behaved kids, and he was pretty smart. No previous history of this kind of attitude or behavior whatsoever. They were baffled. And by we I mean all the 5th grade teachers and the principal, met with his parents 4 times in 2 months, trying to determine the cause of all of this. In the first 3 meetings, his parents were cooperative, but seemed a little slow. They couldn't think of any reason why little Jamal, we'll call him Jamal, would act in such a way. In the 4th meeting, I said, listen, kids don't just flip a switch like this. Jamal has zero history of disciplinary problems until this year. Can you think of anything that happened between 4th and 5th grade that might affect his psychological makeup? They said, oh, Jamal's uncle was found shot dead in our home this summer. Jamal was the one who discovered his body. Something that could have been brought to my attention yesterday. One of my favorite moments. I walk into the school office to check my mailbox. A parent of one of my students sees me and says very loudly, almost screaming, "Oh, finally, look, everyone, I found a teacher. Do you realize that I left work early to come here after school to talk to my son's teachers about his report card, and you are literally the only teacher I have found. I went from classroom to classroom and everyone is gone. Do you know what time it is? It's 3:45 p.m. School ended 15 minutes ago. 15 minutes. And you're the only teacher still here. Can you explain to Emmy why everyone is gone? Can you explain to Emmy why every teacher has left the building when school just got out?" I paused, waiting to see if there was more. When I realized he had finished, I said, "All the teachers are in the library. We're having a faculty meeting." The look on his face was priceless. He knew he was in the wrong, but by that point he had committed so fiercely to his anger and righteousness that he couldn't just apologize. So he said, "Well, that's just irresponsible," and he walked out of the office. Ha ha ha, what a prick. Getting to tell him that must have been so rewarding. I worked at a school for blind and visually impaired kids. This woman had a daughter that was blind and mentally delayed but otherwise healthy. They were referred to our school when the daughter was in her mid-teens. Her mother did so much for this girl that she considered completely helpless. She was not, that her legs atrophied and she couldn't stand on her own. We dealt with our share of nightmare parents of various stripes, from the completely uninvolved to control freaks who knew every bureaucratic trick to pull to get what they wanted, but this one, the one that cared so much for her daughter that she crippled her even further, is the one I think back to the most often. It was a constant battle to get her to back off and let her daughter learn to be an independent person. I had the parents of a Muslim student demand to me that their son be excused while my student teacher taught lessons to the class because she is a woman and no son of theirs would be taught by a woman. I told them that's fine, but he's still responsible for the materials he missed. This would be every class over a 3-week period. They freaked out, called me a racist and went to the principal over my head, who promptly told them that their son would be responsible for any material he missed. Good lord. I've written about this before, but I think you guys will appreciate this. I work with a student with an intellectual disability in journalism class. One day, the student interviews a really important political figure that's closely tied with activism for individuals with intellectual disabilities. The student finishes writing the article and there's only one issue. She needs to email her article to the editors and cannot seem to log into her email account because she forgot her password. So, I volunteer to email it to the student editors. No harm, no foul. Then, the next day I receive an email from her mother saying that the terminology the student used, she was quoting the politician, were my words and that I do not use person first language, a huge no-no in education. She told me my language was offensive, unprofessional, and a sign that I clearly do not understand the complexities of addressing people with intellectual disorders. What offensive thing did the politician say? He said students with special needs instead of saying students with intellectual disorders. Honestly, it's not like he dropped the R-bomb, but based on the parent's reaction the student might as well have written that in the article. The parents CC'd all of the student editors and attached a bunch of Huffington Post articles on the topic. It was insane. The students kept approaching me, asking how they should handle the article. I just told them to ignore it and I'll deal with it. The entire ordeal was horrible and I was just trying to be a nice person by being the email liaison between the student and the editors. I've never received an apology and the parent refuses to acknowledge me whenever I wave at her when she's visiting. My roommate is a preschool teacher. She has a student in her class who is very rambunctious, and she has a pretty good line of communication with the boy's mother, as she is not in denial about her son's behavioral issues. She also has a girl in her class who is spoiled rotten, used to getting everything she wants immediately. One afternoon, my roommate was waiting on parents to pick up the kids, and she was chatting with the mother of rambunctious boy. All of a sudden, the mother of spoiled girl bursts into the room. She starts yelling, At rambunctious boy. Apparently he had pushed spoiled girl on the playground the day before. Spoiled girl didn't tell my roommate or the other teacher, just her mom, and she also told her mom that rambunctious boy didn't get punished, since she didn't say anything to the teachers. Mom decides to take this out not on the teachers, but on this 4-year-old boy. She screams at him not to touch her daughter and that there would be consequences and blah blah. Obviously, rambunctious boy starts crying. My roommate and the other mother are just in shock, and spoiled girl and her mom turn and leave in a huff. Congratulations, lady, you just bullied a 4-year-old into crying. I really hope you feel good about yourself. A parent created an extremely extensive treatise on how the traditional methods of grading should be scrapped. They ended up emailing it to every staff member in the school. They did not, however, ever address the fact that their child did not turn in a single homework assignment between December and June. I'm not a teacher either, but my wife was one in a poor area near Chicago. I've heard 100 horror stories, but the one I always think about is this one. My wife's school was having a really hard time involving their parents in their kids' homework. The kids on average have poor test scores, poor intelligence, low motivation, etc. Common problems today. So what they tried to do was start an after-school program where parents would come in and help their kids with their homework. Kinda defeats the purpose of homework, but whatever. None of the parents showed up. Not surprising, I suppose. Here's where it gets interesting. So they decided they were going to raffle off a ham at each after-school homework event. Amazingly, parents started showing up. I would have to drive with my wife every once in a while to Walmart to buy a ham, because the parents showed up for a 1 in 500 chance to win a ham. They wouldn't come in for their kids, but they'd come in for a freaking chance at ham. Blows my mind to this day. I'm a teacher in Korea, and Korean mothers are known for being super involved in their kids' educations, and really over the top, to the point where there are classes for kids like mommy and me type of thing where moms sit in class with the kids, seemingly so they have first-hand experience in class to complain about the teacher's accent, appearance, intellect, attention per student. One of my classes is only 2 students, a boy and a girl, and the boy always bullies the girl. A few weeks ago he threw her water bottle in the trash and she was upset about it. OBV. His mom called the school and started complaining about how the girl always bothers him and that she is affecting his learning and always starts any tiffs they have in class. Which is totally not true. He is 100% the instigator, but pretty much because students pay our salaries as Hagwons. After school programs, private English schools get no funding from the Korean government. Us teachers just kind of have to sit there and take it. However, the Korean teachers take the brunt of this, and foreign teachers are just here to practice English as glorified babysitters and don't deal with parents directly. However, in this incident I was involved because all of the teachers who dealt with the kids were asked to comment on their mutual treatment. Not a teacher now, but I had direct field experience as a sophomore in college. One class I sat in for a few months was a kindergarten class. Those kids were the sweetest, most wonderful kids around. There was Colin, who loved burritos, Lisa, who wanted to learn to dance like a robot, Chris, who after seeing me, a guy with long hair, decided he wanted to grow his hair out. Then there was Alyssa. Alyssa is just another case of many in America, where parents plumb didn't give a crap about the growth of their kids. Alyssa was tall for her age. She had been held back, and unusually quiet. She was sweet-natured, but always sat by herself. I made it a point to interact with her, but in those few months I was in her class I never heard her talk. One day, the kids were to bring me their easy readers one at a time and read them to me. Whenever Alyssa came to the desk, I had asked her to get started, only to be met with a confused look. The teacher's aide hinted to me that I read it with her, which I did. Afterward, I found out that Alyssa's parents never read to her or helped her with her schoolwork. They never came to any school functions, and the teacher also told me that she had contacted CPS when the poor girl showed up to school with some pretty sizable bruises. She wasn't held back due to developmental issues. Her parents were always late getting her ready for school, and as a result if she missed her bus they wouldn't take her to school. Apparently on this note the teacher went to the parents and had a come to Jesus meeting with the parents because they were getting her to school on time and more often. I never found out what happened after my time was up. Alyssa cried when I left. I hope things got better for her. and I hope she was taken out of that home. Frick those types of parents. Being a parent is awesome, but those types of people can't seem to grasp that. Useless wastes is what they are. I was teaching high school in the South Bronx at the time. A student of mine had just assaulted another and I had to physically restrain him until school security showed up. As I held him back, and he wasn't a small kid, he called the dean a freaking CB. Obviously, we had to call his mom in. The first thing she said when we sat down was, "How did you all get my number? I thought I gave you a fake one." She proceeded to give no fricks about the fact that her son was on the verge of expulsion. He didn't come back to school the following year. Currently doing illegal private tutoring and career as an ESL teacher. The worst parent I've dealt with so far are the family that I currently work with. While the mother and father are easily one of the sweetest and nicest people I've met, they are extremely wealthy and tend to spoil the crap out of their 2 elementary kids. They have a really fat little 5-year-old boy that is the most spoiled crap in the universe. This chubba hubs throws tantrums every day during lessons, hits and screams at his parents and grandparents, cries over everything, and eats a crap ton of food every day. And his parents just smile and laugh over all of it. They've never disciplined him. They've never told him no. This crap gets a new toy every week, on demand. This little sucker can't stand doing anything he doesn't want or he'll run to his parents crying. Currently doing illegal private tutoring and career as an ESL teacher. Haha nice. I used to teach this little boy who was so disruptive would shout and pinch the other children in the class. And when I complained to his parents they said that he was a little angel at home and were shocked that I was saying that their boy was disruptive. They even said they thought I had the wrong child's parents in. It's not uncommon for children to behave very differently at home versus at school. Former teacher here, Chris' grandmother, who became his legal guardian not too long before this story, takes the cake for me. Background: I taught at an alternative high school for students who were not successful in the traditional high school setting. Kids with drug problems mostly, but there were a few outliers to that, Chris being one. Although he was fairly high functioning for his placement, Chris was classified special education and was legally allowed to sit in on his PPT, planning and placement team, meetings to discuss his IEP, individualized education plan. It was at the PPT meeting in April to discuss the upcoming school year that my heart broke for this kid so badly. We were discussing Chris' progress in the current school year and I was being very optimistic about Chris' upcoming school year as I felt that he made tremendous progress and could continue to do well if the proper support was in place. I made the suggestion that Grandma help to facilitate a positive learning environment at home in order to provide Chris with the best chance to succeed, and her exact response was, "I'm not changing anything at home. The kid is stupid and he's going to keep being stupid no matter what I do for him at home." He was sitting right next to her and I could see all the joy leaving his face like a balloon slowly being deflated. I never wanted to adopt a child so badly in my life as I did Chris to get him out of yet another toxic home situation. Jay's mom. This story is a colleague's. The science teacher said, "For this unit, I'll be taking you all to Mars." Jay's mom comes in person, yelling about how ain't her kid going to know Mars. She ain't give permission for that. True story. You signed Ms. Frizzle's permission slip, so we're all going. I had a parent call me because I took away her daughter's iPad. She was 8 and telling the other students that if they didn't own an iPad it's because either their parents are poor or didn't love them. The mom came in and before she meeting could get underway, her phone rang. She didn't excuse herself and began having a business meeting right in front of me. She even got out her iPad to take notes with her super long fingernails tapping on the glass. When she was done, she thanked me for everything and left. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.